Before we get started, please be sure to have, hey Michelle. Oh, hi Joan. I'm looking forward to it too, if I'm being honest. So we're going to use a broomstick handle or a walking stick or something that you have that's fairly long that can give you a little bit of leverage. And we're actually going to start seated tonight. Welcome to Rest and Restore Happier Hour. It's good to be here. We're going to start in our pinwheel position. Sometimes I call this 90-90 when I'm doing a mobility class, but I feel like pinwheel is a better name for it when we're doing kind of a restorative practice or a chill practice. So there's lots of different ways you could set this up for yourself. We're going to begin with the right leg ahead, and that right leg's going to be externally rotated. The left will be kind of off to the side, straight out from your hip, and we're trying to get 90-degree angles in the knees and at the hips. So if you were looking down at yourself, it would be like a kind of a perfectly symmetrical pinwheel-like shape. If this bothers you, you could pull your heels a little closer in towards your body. And if the trailing leg feels a little pinchy, that left leg, you could sit your right seat up on a yoga block or a pillow or a bolster, whatever you've got. You could also use your blocks just as a way to kind of support yourself off to the side like this. And since we're going to be doing Yoga Nidra tonight, I thought we would get right into the practice instead of starting with like grounding and breathing. So find your 90-90 or your pinwheel, and we're just going to press both legs down towards the ground. Thinking about maybe trying to anchor down through that outside edge of the entire right leg. And you can see that I have a pretty big gap here between my thigh and the ground. So I'm actually going to use my yoga block as a point of contact that I can push into because I can't reach the floor. But if your leg reaches the floor, there wouldn't be any need to do that. And then the back leg, same thing. We're going to just try press down through that inner thigh, inner ankle, inner knee, just enough that you can feel that your muscles are working a little bit without overdoing it. And then if you wanted to, you could close your eyes and just take some nice deep breaths. Slow down your exhale. Just let your shoulders be free and soft. Maybe you spend some time here counting your breaths as far as like a 3 to 4 second inhale, and then maybe like a 4 to a 6 count exhale. Couple more breaths like this. And then we can just relax away from that pressure downward with the legs and lean a little bit to the right. So you could come onto your forearm, or you could come onto your right hand, your palm. And we're just going to work the trailing leg a little bit. So let's try to open up that trailing leg any amount. And then lower that leg. And you're just going to think of kind of a butterfly shape, lifting and lowering that left leg. And I've got to check something on my phone. I just saw a notification pop up. I want to make sure everything's still good. Hey, Jenny. One thing I forgot to do is put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm going to try to set it up from my watch. Hopefully it carries over. Changing things just a little bit. We're going to keep our left knee down, and you can keep leaning over here to the right if you feel a little crowded here. We'll try to pivot the lower leg off the floor so that we're internally rotating our left hip. So you can see here on this leg, I can't get a whole lot of movement there, and that's fine. It's just a little ways off the ground. Think of trying to turn the top part of your thigh towards the floor and trying to roll the inner portion of your thigh towards the wall behind you without letting your pelvis do the twisting. So it's more just your femur bone. If it helps, you might just take your hand on your pelvis here so that you're not moving from there, but instead you're just trying to spiral that left leg. One more breath or so. And then relax out of that, and we'll go back to pulling the leg open, trailing leg open, and then press down. Just 3 of those. And then we'll go back to the internal rotation. See if you can keep your trunk in the exact same place without trying to borrow movement from the ribs or the spine or the pelvis. Focusing on hip rotation instead. Breathing for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last time now with that little opening and closing action of the left leg. And then we'll just switch sides. Sweep your left leg out in front, right leg sideways, stagger so that your knee is coming straight out from your hip and then your heel is directly behind you. And we'll start by grounding. Everything's pressing towards the floor. If sitting up tall makes your right hip feel congested, it's totally fine to lean over towards that left side a little bit. Now is kind of a nice time to observe if you could notice a difference on how your hips perform these movements. Even though you're not actually moving, it's kind of generating a subtle effort, trying to move into a position without actually moving. My left hip, I feel like, doesn't do this as well. This abduction. My right leg feels pretty strong, pressing into the ground. And then you can just ease off of that. Start to open and close the right leg without turning the upper body, without letting the pelvis twist open. And your ankle can kind of roll and turn. That part doesn't matter so much. Great. I'm going to set that leg down and we're moving into the internal rotation, trying to pivot so that our lower leg might float off the ground just a wee bit. Might be a little shaking going on. And even if your leg doesn't lift at all, as long as you can feel stuff happening there, that's a pretty good sign. And then we'll switch back to opening the leg. Just a few times. And then one last round of the internal rotation. Try to keep that upper leg bone in the same spot, but just spiral it inward. Second round, maybe you have just a little more range. Maybe slightly more crampy feelings coming up. The more you work to increase that range, you might feel a little crampy. You can just let go of the effort and take a rest as needed. Last time, pulling the leg away and then setting it back down. Just a few of these. Okay, now we're going to sit with one leg stretched out forward. So let's go right leg stretched out, left knee bent, and just set your foot wherever it lands. You're going to create a little cage for this left leg by hooking your hands like this, or just holding your wrist or your forearm, and you're going to hold your leg like you're trying to pull it towards you, but your leg is going to be pressing outward into the hook of your arm. So if I were to take away my arm here, my leg would open like that. So it's just that isometric action of a combination of external rotation and also abduction, but we're not actually going anywhere. Just try to feel fairly natural and relaxed in the upper trunk. You don't have to overdo a straight spine. Just try to stay fairly stable there. Even weight on both sides of the pelvis. One more breath. And then you can let that go. Left hand can just come slightly behind you for a little base of support. And then you're going to move your right hand to the inside of that left knee and press your leg towards the right into your hand as your arm tries to push back. Just working against your own strength here. Switch back to the full cage and try to pull your leg outward into your arm. And we'll switch back. Press into your hand. Knee and hip stay fairly well aligned along with the ankle. Back to that last round into the arm cage. And then last time, trying to squeeze the leg towards your midline while resisting with the strength of your arm. Good. Before we do the other side, let's take both hands behind us, bend both knees, set your feet wide, and allow the thighs just to kind of roll outward and inward, back and forth, nice easy wiper motion. Okay, second side. Left leg straight, right leg bent, and then we're going to lasso it in. Knee, ankle, and hip about in the same line, and try to pull your leg outward while you resist with your arm. And then use your right hand on the floor, press your leg into your left hand. The angle of your joints really doesn't change at all. And we'll switch back. Now press inward. Last round, pressing outward. Last repetition, squeezing the leg towards your arm, towards your midline. And then we're going to have a little yin moment. Soles of the feet will meet. You could sit up on your blanket if you wanted a little height for your hips. And then we'll let the trunk just drape inside the thighs. You could rest your head if you wanted to stack up some sort of pedestal with your yoga blocks. And then find some stillness. In this practice, there's no need to push or pull yourself into a deeper range. We're just allowing our bodies to find a spot, that Goldilocks spot, not too much, not too little, just enough so that you can feel there's a sense of stretch without overwhelming your nervous system. Knowing that if we tried to go too far, too fast, our nervous system could actually put the brakes on and prevent us from going deeper. Now's a really good time to try your best to breathe into the back side of your ribs, or even towards the sides, and filling up that inner canister with equal pressure all the way around. Nearly there, just a few more breaths. Let's take it slow as we work our way out of this forward bend. And then once you do get upright, let's head back into the wipers one more time before we head down onto the mat. In the next segment, you'll need that stick or that pole. And this one might feel a little clunky at first until you kind of get used to it. Essentially, we're going to be working against the pole to create the effort of rotation again. We're using the pole to keep our joint angle the same and just kind of leveraging ourselves here. So first thing, you're going to set the right knee about directly over your right hip. Shin bone's going to be fairly parallel. And you're going to move the stick towards the outside of your thigh and then try to hook it on the inner border of your heel. So you're moving from outside to in underneath your lower leg. Outside of the thigh, inside of the heel. And then you're going to try to pull this stick towards the left, but your leg is going to try to pull it out to the right. So if I let my leg win here, the stick goes to the right. If I were to let my arms win, the stick would pull across my body to the left. You're going to try to keep joint angle the same, neutral, but work against the stick. Just a nice low level of effort. imagining that you were rotating your thigh. 1 or 2 hands on that stick, whatever you feel is necessary. And if it helps you to bend your left knee and set your left foot on the ground for stability, that'd be fine too. We're just going to breathe here. One more breath in and out. Great job. Set your stick off to the side, plant both feet, and let both knees rest together. Now we're going to work the other direction. Same leg, but we're going to start with the dowel on the inside of the thigh, near the knee, but not at the knee, and then try to hook on the outside of our heel. And now we're resisting in the other direction. This top part of the pull is trying to pull outward to the right, but your hip strength is not allowing it, so nothing's actually moving. Notice if your back is arching and see what you can do to neutralize there. Two more breaths. Beautiful. Dowel off to the side, with or without a yoga block. You're going to lift your hips and come into a bridge. If you want this to be super passive, just set your hips on that block, or you could even use a rolled up blanket. If you want a little more work, obviously, you don't have to use that support system underneath you, and you can just fire up your buns. And then we'll take a pause here and find a little stillness. Notice sensation around your neck, around your shoulders, around your temples and your jaw. More ease, less holding. Smoothing and polishing your breath. Press down into your feet, rise your hips off of your support system if there is one. And if you didn't have your hips on a block, that was the longest bridge ever. Come on down and let's repeat those 2 movements on the left side. So we'll move the object to the outside edge of the thigh bone and try to hook to the inner heel. And then you're trying to work the pull towards the right side. as you keep your leg in its fixed place, trying to pull the bottom of that stick towards the right side instead. You get to control the amount of resistance. We don't want the arm to win. We don't want the leg to win. We want to try to find that balanced effort. Okay, let's take it to the wipers. Keep your pole handy, but just move it off to the side. Feet come nice and wide. Rock knees to the left and to the right. And then let's do the second half. Coming to the inside of the leg and then hooking on the outside of the heel. Now we're trying to pull the top of the stick left. And that heel is trying to press the stick out to the left. Nothing's moving. Oof, this leg is not as good at this. Handful of breaths more. And then go ahead and release. We'll be done with the pull for now. You can reach for your yoga block again for your second bridge pose. If you'd rather not elevate the hips, what you could do is just widen out your feet and let your knees rest together and stay flat. Or take a lower support system, like your rolled up blanket or a towel. For those of you that are choosing the bridge on the object, you could also work towards a straighter leg. Maybe one for a little while, or both if it feels okay on your back. If your neck feels crowded, you can tuck your shoulders down underneath you a little bit more. Observing the soft waves of your breath. Not a whole lot of effort there either. Since we're in a position of stillness with not a whole lot of physical effort, it's comforting to know that we can just observe our breath without having to control it in any way. Noticing that in these positions, where there isn't effort, there's no effort in the breath, and it can just be. Accepting, allowing, staying curious. Notice how every single breath is unique from the last. different areas of expansion, maybe a bit more space after the exhales. And then we have one more little isometric movement before we head into the Nidra. So you can go ahead and get rid of that block after you lift your hips. And let's just take a moment to neutralize the back. So you could either just stretch all the way out or tuck your legs into your chest. Feeling solid points of contact from your sacrum all the way towards the back of your skull. Still allowing for any of your natural curves to be present. And then you may want your yoga block for this next one. I tried it both ways and I prefer it with the block. So left leg is just going to ground, knee is bent. Right leg is going to be in that same starting position, knee over hip, about a 90-degree angle in the leg. And then you're going to use your yoga block as resistance. I really liked to have my elbows pressing into that block, trying to push my leg forward while my leg kicks back into the block. But you could also use your hands like this. So we're not actually pulling the leg in. We want to keep this straight thigh vertical rather than pulling it in. And we'll find those hip flexors to do their job without actually having to move the joint. And we're breathing. If you're sensing that your low back is trying to curl off the ground, try to do a little less or adjust the angle of your thigh. Set your block just beside you so you can pick it up easily again. Hold the back of your leg, interlace your fingers. Now try to kick your leg away from your body and into your hands. Stretch your right leg all the way to the ground. Heel toe your left foot out just a little bit wider. And then just squeeze your right bum and let the right side of your pelvis lift a little bit. And then relax. And then squeeze the right side bum and relax. Twice more, a little squeeze. Pelvis will tip a little bit. Relax. Last time, contract. Relax. Let's do the other side. Place your block against the left thigh in some way that you can really work against the pushing and the pulling. Trying to pull the leg in, the arms trying to push it away. Block placed to the side, hold the back of your left leg. And then press into your hands as if you were trying to kick your leg away from your body. Okay. Last static stretch for today. You may wish to have your blocks off here to the side, just underneath where your hips are. Let the soles of your feet meet, and just like we did seated, you're going to let the legs pull apart and either just lay there or lay on the block. If you are super comfortable where you are, you could stay. But we are going to do a short Yoga Nidra meditation tonight, so we're going to build a resting nest if you're not comfortable with where you are now, just so you can get ultra comfy. Choosing a shape that brings you complete effortlessness, so that you're not tempted to wiggle or fidget, and you can really kind of sink in and let go. Maybe you drop your eyes closed or place something over them. Sometimes a little touch on the eyelids, like with a washcloth or a towel, is enough to encourage your eyes to stay closed, especially if you're in a well-lit room. Enjoy this process of snuggling down, committing to just a little bit of rest tonight, a physical rest, where we can still be aware of what's happening inside. Full body awareness right now, just taking your own quick scan on the inside from the tips of your toes all the way towards the crown of your head. Acknowledging any areas that feel good, feel tired, feel connected, aware. And then moving away from those labels and just being. As if this was the first time you'd ever been in this body and you just don't have the words to describe what you're feeling, but you're still feeling. Eyelids a little heavier. Notice where your body is touching the floor, your yoga mat, your blanket. Notice where your clothing is touching your skin. And then feel into the areas of your skin that are untouched by clothing or blankets. Welcome in any sounds that you hear as part of your practice today. There are no wrong sounds, and there are no sounds that don't belong here. It's all welcome, part of the practice. Sense the movement of your breath. Can you hear a sound? How deep is your breath when it goes in? And can you draw out the exhale just a few beats longer than normal? A more patient exhale. Soft jaws. Ease around your temples and eyebrows. Smooth. Body a little heavier. Breath just a little bit lighter. Devote your attention to the soles of your feet. Feel the ball of your foot and all 10 toes. Sense the spaces between your toes. Connect your awareness to the arches of your feet, the gentle curves, small little wrinkles there. Feel into the sturdiness of your heel bones. Your ankles, top side, inside, outer ankle, and the back of your ankle, Achilles tendon. And sense your lower legs as a whole unit. From the very bottom of your knee all the way to the tips of your toes. Toned calf muscles, relaxed. Feel the bony prominence of the front of your shin bones, sinking back towards your calves, back and down. Locate the hinge of your knee from behind. And then sweep your attention around towards your kneecaps. More rested. front of your thighs. Sense the outer seam of both legs. And feel the softness around your inner thighs. And sense the back of your upper legs. More effortless now in the lower limbs. Take your awareness to your pelvis. Pelvis like a bowl. A low simmer of awareness in the depths of your pelvis. Connect your attention to your two hip joints, the ball and socket, built for stability. Built for your independence. Travel your awareness to your backside. Powerful area around your seat. From the top rim of your pelvis towards the tops of your thigh bones. Travel your awareness into the curve of your lumbar. No effort. Trace your awareness around towards the front side of you. Softness in the belly. A gentle canopy with the breath. Guide your attention to the sides of your rib cage. Can you sense your breath there? Full of ease. And take your awareness up the sides of your ribs towards your armpits. Shoulders. Upper arms. Feel your elbows. Forearms. Wrists. Guide your awareness to the palms of your hands. Sense that you have fingers and space between them. Come back to your center now, just behind your sternum and in front of your spine. A space where your heart lives. Guide your attention to your throat, collarbones, earlobes, temples, eyebrows, feel your eyes resting now. Travel your attention to the space behind your eyes. Deeper and more relaxed than before. Resting eyes that can still sense the body. Whole body awareness. Whole body at rest. stay connected to your sense of peace and calm and tranquil waters of rest here. And receive the following affirmations. My body is strong and healthy. My mind is calm and connected. My heart is full and grateful. I am rested. I am whole. I have everything I need already inside of me. I am love and I am loved. Guide your awareness to the sensation of your breath, its soft rhythm. Put a little more intention into that cycle, allowing for more space, more expansion on your inhale, and a bit more surrender or release as you exhale. Using the power of your mind, connect your breath to different areas of your body. Using that as the inspiration to create some soft movements. There's no rush. Experiment with gentle neck movements, turning your head side to side, spiraling ankles and wrists, wiggling toes and fingers. Bend your knees, set your feet, and let your hips windshield wiper right and left, allowing for a little twist of the spine as well. And let that lead you into laying on your side for a little bit. I'd like to thank you for spending this little bit of time in your practice, in your rest. It's always my honor and my pleasure to guide you. Thanks for being here. Namaste.